Okay. I now call to order the June 3rd EdTech meeting at 5:06 p.m. The clerk, please take roll call.
Commission Member Warner.
Here.
Commission Member Lean.
Here.
Commission Member Case. Commission Member Peck.
Here.
Commission Member Moorhead.
Here.
And Commission Member Allen.
Here.
And Commission Member Congleton has asked to be excused. Commission Member Case is absent, and we do have a quorum.
Okay, did anyone submit a public comment in advance?
I did not receive any comments.
Okay, if anyone's in actual or virtual attendance would like to speak, please raise your hand. Now, when you start to raise your hand if you're on the phone. And we'll move into the consent agenda consisting of the approval of the agenda for tonight, June 3rd, and approval of the meeting minutes of May 6th. Are there any items that anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion is passed. Okay, we'll move into the guest presentations.
Yeah, so the first one, I would like to ask Mr. Ben Happa give a little synopsis of the study we're currently engaged in. So as you all may recall from earlier year, we ended up getting a community economic revitalization board plan and grant to figure out what's actually needed to serve Martin Airfield, because that's a little bit of our Bermuda Triangle area since before it changed ownership in 19, we originally weren't going to go out there, but now since Tarragon and the Corliss Group owns it and have been acquiring properties, they want to fix like the airfield and do some other improvements to potentially lure like light industrial nearby. So we have a competitive RSQ, JUB won the RSQ, so they are now starting the work. So with that, Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I will assume I've got the ability to share my screen, hopefully here.
Yep.
And that everybody can see that.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so thank you. As Mike said, I'm Ben Hoppy. I'm with JUB Engineers out of Kennewick. We do a lot of engineering services for the city of College Place. Proud to be a part of this study for Martin Airfield. My plan is to just give a few slides and go through this pretty quickly, an overview of what's in our scope, what we intend to do, our progress to date, and our overall schedule. And so if I move along too quickly, feel free to interrupt with questions, or I'm happy to take questions at the end as well. So the intent of this project is to evaluate the feasibility of the Martin Airfield area, which is this area shown in red. Obviously, Mike mentioned under the new ownership that was annexed, I believe, about 6 months ago into the city limits. So that red bold area is, we're looking at, it's about 360 acres that was annexed just recently. And so this zoom in here it gives you an idea of the actual properties. Whitman Drive to the north, obviously the area surrounding Martin Airfield, some residential and so forth. The purpose here is to look at the area within this bold red box and evaluate the feasibility of this site for development, whether that be industrial or otherwise. It's mostly an industrial focus, but there might be some mixed use that I'll get into a little bit later. So this gives an idea of the parcel breakdown, the ownership here. As you can see, there's a few kind of odd-shaped parcels, 6 in total, most of which are owned by Martin Airport LLC, Tarragon. And then this shows the breakdown of the land use. It's bisected by the creek. The northwestern portion is zoned as light industrial use, which we anticipate to be a suitable use for north and immediately surrounding northwest and immediately surrounding Martin Airstrip. And then the portion to the southeast is single-family residential, which is consistent with some of the development that you're seeing to the east right now. So just give you an idea of a few similar projects that we've done, and might give you some context for this one in particular. Just going through these recently in the last year, we completed a study for the Port of Pasco as the owner of the Tri-Cities Airport. That's the AIM Center Industrial Plan. AIM Center is aerospace innovation and manufacturing. So in Pasco's case, they wanted to attract some industrial, but also kind of innovative, cutting edge aerospace industry around their airport. So they've got 460 developable acres that we just completed a study for last year. One in the middle, Flex Light Industrial, was for the city of College Place that evaluated 3 different sites that could house a flex industrial building. One of those sites was the Martin Airfield area. So we've got some familiarity with that site and kind of a head start on that spot. And then one that's ongoing also, that's another airport related project, is this Bowers Field airport study. This Bowers Field is in Ellensburg. It's Ellensburg Airport owned by Kittitas County. They've got 850 acres of land that we're evaluating, kind of similar to what we're planning on doing for Martin Airfield. That they've got some environmental constraints, things we want to look at, and just evaluating the feasibility of development there. We've done a lot of these studies for CURB, which is the funding source. I'll get into that in a little bit, but these ones are ones I wanted to focus on that were pertaining to your site in particular, and specifically to airport sites as well. So as I mentioned, the funding source here is State Community Economic Revitalization Board, otherwise known as CURB. We do a lot of CURB studies. They are a very good partner to work with. They've got various funding programs. This is a planning grant that the city was successful in obtaining $100,000, which is 80% of the total project cost at $125,000. The nice thing with CURB too is that they've got other funding possibilities. They've got a committed private partner program, for example, some others that we have done some of these preliminary studies that have then led to more real and tangible development, say for infrastructure expansion. If you identified something that came out of this planning study, CURB will often fund the next step of it, whatever infrastructure improvements they've identified. So I won't read all this, but just give you an idea of what we envision this report to be, the actual deliverable for the city. This table of contents kind of goes over the overview of, we're going to look at what you have, what we think industry makes sense to attract in the area that would be a mutual benefit to the city, to the owner, to other stakeholders around the area. And then what does it take to attract that industry that you might not have today? So common evaluations are, well, like I say, in the preliminary engineering analysis, your transportation system, your roadway network, is it wide enough to accommodate maybe trucks or additional vehicular traffic? Things like broadband, water, wastewater, storm, basically any utilities that you've got in the area. Again, what do you have now? What do you need in the future? And how do we bridge that gap? Another important component of this is the economic market analysis, which looks at maybe some unique aspects of the site, what you have, what this site can offer that other sites might not be able to. So, for example, the airstrip is a unique characteristic of this site. Are there certain industries that might be more attracted to this because you've got an airport there? And then if there's other unique characteristics, proximity to roadways and so forth, those are usually things we look at in concert with again, what the city and other stakeholders want to attract. So we'll break this down into that economic analysis that I mentioned. Once we have an idea for the type of industry that we're looking at, that's where we can start looking at the transportation, utilities, and so forth that are needed for that type of industry. And so we'll take an existing evaluation of what you've got out there. We'll probably put some sort of a parcel, a conceptual layout together that shows what is an average parcel size need to look at. Are we talking a quarter acre? Are we talking 10 or 20 acre parcels? What would an industry look for? And how does that break down? We'll come up with a map of sorts that show one possible layout. And then things like an internal roadway network, maybe some off-site roadway evaluations. If there are intersection improvements that need to be made, those are things that we'll evaluate as well. And then the end deliverable is kind of taking this all together, and idea is to give you a roadmap of what you have, what you need, and how much it might cost to do that. So we've got usually a portion dedicated to revenue sources and the cost of development. The city or whoever the owner is, in many cases, makes a decision on what costs they want to take on themselves versus what costs you might want to pass on to a developer or others. So this is the bulk of what's in our scope, just kind of an overview of these 5 parts. We had a kickoff meeting with the city in April and got an idea for some of the things that they want to take on as part of this study. I mentioned the economic feasibility study. The site analysis is an evaluation of your existing site and what you have. Infrastructure analysis is essentially what you might need for infrastructure expansion. And then putting that all together in project coordination and final plan documents so that you've got something tangible to look at there. So as far as our progress, I mentioned we had that kickoff with the city that really gave us some good context on some of the constraints, challenges, things in particular that they might want to look at. Went over the scope, and we are now identifying a few things that came out of that discussion. Things like sewer lift station, whether a new fire station might be triggered depending on the level of development, roadway improvements, possible wastewater processing depending on whether you want that industry, future annexations, and then this one here, airport overlay zone, is something that's a little bit unique to this site. We work in a lot of airports. My background's in aviation and transportation. An airport overlay zone is something that is usually implemented by either city or county. That's something of a code that says what you can develop and where in relation to an airport. So Martin Airfield has runway protection zones that usually restrict certain development on the ends of each runway. There's things that you can do and can't do, and it's usually good to have something in writing that identifies policies for future development. And then as far as the economic feasibility study, we're starting this right now. We're pretty early in the process overall, I'll say, and I'll show the schedule on the next slide here so you have an idea of where we're at. But this economic feasibility study first consists of usually contacting interested partners and stakeholders that might be impacted by the development of the project. So that includes anything from the city and other municipal partners like the county, the state, the port, and then anybody else who might be interested, such as the university. So we're just in the early stages of reaching out to those parties and getting an idea of what it is that they want, what might benefit the community, and what it might take to get those things. And so this is our overall schedule here. As I mentioned, we're at the STAR here in June. We completed that kickoff meeting. The economic feasibility study usually takes a few months to gather information. And then once we get some information on that, we can start into the site analysis and infrastructure analysis. And overall, with all that, we envision wrapping this up and having a plan in place for the city toward the end of this year. So that is a quick overview of everything. Again, happy to let you have me give you an update here. Happy to give further updates with this group as our schedule moves on here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I just want to make sure that you all were aware of the processes is going through, and then also we're looking at lands adjacent because there are properties that the university owns to the west that are farm ground, and they have expressed a desire the next iteration where we open up urban growth areas, potentially bringing that in. So making sure whatever we size infrastructure wise out there, we do it once and don't have to revisit this again and again.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mike. Are we ready to move on to the park plan survey?
Yep.
Mr. Rizzatello.
Okay, thank you. So this was mailed out to everyone in the newsletter and then also on your social media, but just to bring mention to it. So every jurisdiction in the city has to have a parking open space plan done every 6 years. Otherwise, you're disqualified from grant funds for new parks. So believe it or not, we're at the end of our first cycle already since I've been here. So now we're in our second cycle. So surveys out in both English and Spanish. Please take it and advise folks who are interested to please take it because it'll guide whatever we do the next like 6 years. I would say the big difference this go around compared to the last iteration is the last iteration dealt more so with updating parks that existed. And this one is really going to be setting the boilerplate for new things. Because that development goes across from the high school, that's going to trigger a park. So figuring out what is it pretty much. Same with Martin Airfield, because the airfield itself will be an airfield, but there's lands behind it. And if residential goes in over there, what does that look like? Because right now Homestead just has a little 1 acre park. And then also that remnant property we have at Whitman and Maple by the well site. That can be one with the new apartment complex. What is that? And same with Autumn Meadows. So, because we just got that with the HOA giving the infrastructure over local improvement district. So, really important to just figure this out moving forward. So please take the survey and advise those to take it. Already we've gotten about 100 responses. It's only been a week out, so pretty good.
Have you been publishing it? How have you been publishing the availability? I'm trying the QR code.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been publishing it via social media, and then also we had the QR code even on the reader board outside, and that's worked on my phone. Yeah,
Deal.
yeah.
Not just as College Place resident.
College Place residents, but I will also say even people outside who do use our parks are still a consumer, so, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And then the community events, Mrs. Sinclair. We're all getting a little exercise.
Yeah.
Well, our city block party went fantastic. We had actually had to extend it down all the way to 4th Street this year. So
Great.
that was fantastic. We were very excited. And our opening day of the farmers market went really well. Our count was 429, I believe. So very excited about that. Started the season. Farmers market is going to be every Thursday through September 29th with I think September 29th, 26th, excuse me, with the exception of July 4th, have a market that day. We do accept EBT, SNAP Market Match, WIC, and Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program.
Great.
And we are still accepting vendor applications. So if there's anyone interested or knows anyone interested, you can click on that link or go on the city website. to download an application. Coming up, we have the College Place Freedom Festival, which is going to be on June 30th this year at the College Place High School from 6 to 10 p.m. And we'll have vendors, live music, kids zone, and we're accepting applications for that as well. And they are also attached on this agenda item. And then movies in the park.
Oh, good.
So we're gonna have 4 movies in the park this year, scheduled for June 22nd, July 13th, August 3rd, and August 24th. The first movie is going to be Wish, and then on July 13th, I believe we're gonna have Ghostbusters. So the event starts at sundown in Kiwanis Park, and if you're interested, you can get more information on that link right there, or if you'd like to do a sponsorship for a movie, we also are accepting those. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Sherry. And then the action agenda, first item is the price development, Mr. Rizzatello.
Thank you. So these 2 items I foreshadowed at the meeting last month. So now moving forward on these to get a recommendation from the commission and move forward city council. So synopsis of this one, this is having to do with providing access to property to south of Home Depot. So we have a deal for a hotel convention center and then some supporting commercial and restaurants to go in there. But the big hangup is about deliveries and freight. We don't own Myra Road, Walla Walla does, so and they basically, developer initially wanted to do right in, right out south of Whitman. Walla Walla won't let that happen. So the other option, which the developer is open to, is to put in a roundabout on Whitman Drive, which we control. So that would be the back entrance over by Human Being, and that'll allow freight to go on the south side. And it does cost more, so we're trying to get grant money. So state transportation improvement board, but if that doesn't fully pan out, there is potential for us needing to do a second TIF district. But if that's what needs to be, that's what needs to be. So this is this approval to recommend this to council and move forward on this endeavor.
Great. Any questions for Mike on this? Can we get a motion to recommend this intersection design treatment to the city council?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend the intersection design treatment to city council.
Thank you, Kelly. Can I get a second?
I will second.
Peck, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is passed. And next is the conceptual roundabout. Lots of roundabouts.
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Yeah. So with this one, really what's triggering this is if you click on the conceptual plan document, which we foreshadowed the last meeting. But now that we annexed the former Bob Smith, now it's Charlie Conan that owns it, and that's like the bluish colored properties on the south side. The goal of that property owner is to construct Ofty Lane and Ofty Lane right now is like a gravel road, but they want to construct it as like an actual normal road. And it would go back to that property that the College Place Public Schools own. That'll be the eventual location for the intermediate school. And the big issue is that the only way the State Department of Transportation, which owns State Route 125, will let another road hook into 125 is with a roundabout treatment. And also this is becoming important Bremerton, because there is I'll just say a very fascinating big box that is looking at going at the front part of this property, so would potentially give commerce in there. So basically, if we go to the the other plan document, yeah. The concept.
The third
Yeah, here.
document.
Yeah, the third document. And this is what's proposed here and we might get this out in front of the community, but one of the grant programs make this reality is through the State Freight Mobility Strategic Investment Board, where they'll pay it for grants on a lot of this sort of stuff. But I'll say the one thing that's a little irritating about that program is they do a call for projects once every 12 years. And then if you miss it, you're just toasted. So we are submitting this, but that means we have to really move quick on this. Otherwise, we miss the boat for the next 12 years. So as you can see, it really accommodate traffic. They have a situation of like 2 roundabouts. Now, the first roundabout deals with College Avenue and moving traffic at either 125 or off D lane. Off D lane is needed in that configuration because it opens up the frontage for that potential commercial player be in the front part. Now, the main roundabout is through State Route 125. The one on 125 is definitely not a new concept by any of the extent of the imagination, because the goal of Department of Transportation is to eventually convert every signalized intersection on 125 to a roundabout. Only reason why they've not done that yet is because the total price tag for the whole corridor is 36 million in Quayman. So with this, it moves traffic both ways on 125. And as y'all may recall from some years ago, we tried to get properties to the east of 125 into our urban growth area. I believe with the amount of commercial we've had the last couple of years, next time it opens up, we should have a pretty decent case to at least bring in 125 to Peppers Bridge into the urban growth area. And definitely with the development going on, so like Liberty Christian and Christ Community Fellowship, they're actually enhancing their chambers. So really another way of hooking a Peppers Bridge, especially with the Burger King in the north end, is needed. So you'll see McMinn Road flares out from that roundabout and then eventually links up with McMinn Road proper. But it's a unique way to move all the traffic and then get the Conan development going, because really until we get this going, for Conan and them to do anything is going to be very problematic, because WASDOT won't allow OFD to access 125 mile roundabout. So that's what's in front of you. Estimate on that's a little bit north of 4 million to deal with the intersection. And the idea is to go to the freight board, also get congressional directed spending grant, and then if there's any local match, take it from the transportation benefit district. So that's the general concept, and we'll try to get this in public as we're able to, but again, we don't want to miss the 12-year vote on the freight board.
Is that pedestrian walkway across 125 on the west side there?
So that actually is similar to like what you see at like 9th and Plaza Way, because they have rapid flash and beacon signals where you press on them and then the signs light up. So that is their standard treatment, which I mean, I know right now looks like a goofy concept, but technically, like if that other side ends up becoming commercial and other stuff, you could have people cross.
Okay. Yep. Very good. Any questions for Mike? And then we are looking for a motion to recommend this intersection design treatment to the city council. Name motion.
I motion.
Thank you. Is that Arlene?
Tracy.
That's Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. Second?
Arlene, second.
Thank you, Arlene. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion is passed. And we jump to the staff reports. Mr. Estelle.
Okay, thank you. So first one's exciting. After 2 years of trying to get through the gauntlet, we are the first dual creative district between the two cities. So Arts Law, they finally passed that. So what's gonna end up happening on that one is Arts Walla is essentially the fiduciary on that. So they're now standing up like an advisory committee to figure out how money gets doled out between the two jurisdictions and such. So EdTech member Congleton's gonna be on that with me to figure out what that all looks like. But yeah, generally doing art through the whole district and trying to do an event. You can see the checklist document is stuff that advisory group is still going to be working on, as well as the draft strategic plan. But at least after all this work, we are designated finally, and we will be getting signage at both on 125 and Highway 12 where it says like state puts up these like big signs that say you're a creative district and like go off the highway. So you will see that coming in the forthcoming months, saying that we're the joint koala district.
Their Arts Walla design is really attractive. That's cool. Great, thank you, Mike. And then 2024 development activity.
Yeah, certainly. So going through that, this is just a recent track sheet of everything and a lot of changes because last month was a retail convention in Vegas. So was able to renew our connections over there. So Jersey Mike's, that continues to be moving forward next to Chipotle. They filed their sign permit and they're getting their building permit materials because they do have to retrofit the inside since it was a bank. I believe it'll be ready for school time. Project Beyond, they're looking either along Meadowbrook or Rose, but it's a convenience store. It also does a gas station. It's like a new concept. And they're looking at doing some fairly quick expansion. So they're interested. Project Tom is a car wash. They're looking at Meadowbrook sites near Hop Thief. Project Murph is a gas station extension of Walmart. And what appears to be happening is so Walmart has filed an application where they're doing a pretty dramatic renovation of the building this summer. The whole parking lot's getting redone and they're reconfiguring a lot of the store. And then after they're done with all that, they're probably going to move forward on the far corner parking lot right by where Meadowbrook and 120. Not a lot of people hang out over there, but it exists.
Yeah.
That the gas station would go there.
Interesting.
So I expect that. Project Boise. This is another type of grocer. Again, if you look at the code names, you can usually figure out who they might be. This is our grocer. It might go on the vacant property in front of Villages of Garrison Creek. It appears to be consolidation of existing grocers, not in College Place, in Walla Walla. But they basically right now they're on properties that are triple net leases and they're looking to just outright own. So they actually sought me out at usually it's the other way. So that's the first time that happened. So working forward on that. Then also at that conference, there were also to do large scale development for commercial. Project Palouse is a commercial developer, has done stuff around Pullman and Moscow. And they're trying to put together a deal with the Lakeside people to really get the commercial stuff going along College Avenue across from the high school. So you're seeing that. Project Cobble, that is the hotel. So met with them at the convention. They still want to enter a city market. They just want the whole access issue dealt with. So that's what we're trying to do. Project Hammer, this is a weird one. So this is another hardware big box store that actually has interest in entering our market. So if they are, try and make sure they end up over here, is the key. Project Bullseye, really, this is the same boat, as the hotel. They just
Right.
really want the access dealt with. Same with the Project OPH as well. Project DE. Now this one is interesting. So this is a restaurant. You could say comparable to Denny's, but another brand, and they're wanting to enter our market. So I tried to get them some information. Project Q, to my knowledge, there is basically a lease agreement being hammered out between the university and them. So it'd be like another fast food franchise, except with like a vegan flair to it. Project Y, this is another grocer, and this one, they're both looking at even going at Whitman and Myra or the 12th and Myra, but that one appears to be moving forward, which is cool. Project MP, Hotel at Meadowbrook, no change, but there's still crunching numbers on that. And then Project Bed, really the same idea. This is a national hotel brand, but they want to put like a higher end extended stay to cater to the university professors. So they're seeing what they can do there. And then Project FM, they really seem to be moving their focus to that property by the dual roundabout because of the nice frontage with 125 once that gets dealt with. So we'll see how that all comes along. And Project Flight, that's Martin Airfield, and they'll really be dealt with as the study gets completed because they'll be implementing that. Now residential, lots going on. Homestead, Haven Homes. You're gonna start to see the stuff on Doan's Dung once Avery Estates is developed in Walla Walla. They're doing that too, and they want to fill that before they jump to us. Dawson Cottages, these are really neat. They're on Birch between 4th and 6th, and really cool looking cottages. Those will be ready to go pretty soon here, probably within the next 2 months. Northwest Residential. This is like a glorified driveway off of Southwest 6th Street. It's a former manufactured home park that's been like cleared out some years ago, right behind the old Rogers School site. And that's going to be converted to a litany of apartments back there. So you're going to see that get developed. Villages of Fort Walla Walla, the apartment complex, it's still alive. They're just getting together the last little bit of financing and actually start building because inflation and everything has been messing with them. The Sermon development in Spitzenberg, you can see that those apartments are going up very quick. Lakeside, we are expecting the full master plan development to be filed next month. So they'll be going through the hearing examiner process and you'll see that move. Villages of Garrison Creek, the donut hole phase, you can see if you drive through there, they're putting all the infrastructure in right now. So the infrastructure part will be complete this year, and then I'm expecting them to move actual home construction at that point. Vesper right over here, the certificate of occupancy has been issued, so they're leasing apartments already. So that's going. Deer Meadows is at Southwest 12th. They are getting close to being ready to start grading, and that's going to be a litany of some townhomes and duplexes. Like if you drew a line and Davis continued all the way at 12th, that's what Deer Meadows would be. Martin Airfield, again, we'll see what the study says. And then the last one is Salerno Estates, and that's the south side of the Southwest 12th, and they're getting ready to report and record the short plat, and then you'll start seeing single family homes on half-acre lots getting developed out there. So yeah, a lot of activities going on. Questions?
Mike?
Yep.
Okay, our next meeting is July 1st. And, yeah, if, there's nothing else, can I get a motion to conclude the meeting?
I make a motion to conclude our meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Lean. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Peck. If there's no objection, or let's see, no, we don't need anything. The meeting is now concluded at 5:47.